My ex-wife gave me an ultimatum. I divorced her instead. Hey, true story. First off, I just want to say thank you for what you do. I stumbled across your channel a couple months after my divorce was finalized, and honestly, I wish I had found it sooner. It's crazy how many guys go through similar things and how different the details can be, but the patterns are always the same: manipulation, gaslighting, and disrespect. Listening to those stories made me feel like I wasn't crazy, like I wasn't just some paranoid guy who pulled the plug too soon. I wanted to share my story with you. My name's Tyler. I'm 34 now, living in New York. I was married for 5 years, together with my ex for 7 total. We met back in 2015 at a friend's rooftop party in Manhattan. She was fun, spontaneous, and she had this energy about her that drew people in. I'll admit, I was hooked pretty quickly. I was working long hours back then, grinding in the finance world, so meeting someone who brought out my lighter side felt refreshing. Fast forward, we dated for 2 years, got engaged, and had what I thought was a solid marriage. But like they say, the cracks always show eventually. The breaking point came about a year ago when she hit me with this so-called ultimatum. She said, "Tyler, I need a break. Not a divorce, not separation forever, but a break. I can't be a happy wife if I don't take care of myself first." At first, I was confused. I thought she meant like therapy or maybe a vacation, but no. What she was really saying was, let me step outside the marriage, do what I want, and come back when I feel like it. That didn't sit right with me at all. I don't do breaks. You're either married or you're not. That's how I see it. And the fact that she even felt comfortable presenting that to me as an option told me everything I needed to know. She had already mentally checked out. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't blow up at her right then and there. Instead, I just nodded, said I'd think about it, and kept my cool. Inside, though, I was already done. The moment those words left her mouth, I knew I was going to see a divorce lawyer. I booked an appointment the very next week. I didn't tell her anything. I figured the less she knew, the smoother this would go for me. But I also had this gut feeling. Something inside me told me there was more going on. I'm not normally the snooping type, but I had this nagging thought that if she was bold enough to hand me that ultimatum, then there was probably something she wasn't saying. So one night while she was in the shower, I looked at her phone. I wasn't going to at first. I was literally planning to just divorce and be done with it, but my gut told me to check. And sure enough, there it was, a dating app. Not only that, but she had given some guy a number I didn't recognize. It wasn't her real one either. It looked like one of those Text Now or Google Voice type numbers. That was strike one. I didn't confront her about it. I just closed the phone, put it back, and told myself, all right, Tyler, you're not crazy. She's already halfway out the door. When I told my brother what I found, he told me flat out, dude, if she's doing that, you need to look deeper. Don't just stop there. You'll regret not knowing the full story. At first, I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that guy who combs through his wife's phone, but curiosity got the best of me. And man, what I found next knocked the wind out of me. In her messages with her sister, I saw something I never expected. They were talking about her terminating a pregnancy. At first, I thought maybe she was talking about years ago, before we got together, but then I looked closer at the timestamps. This was recent, like within the last year, and then the bomb dropped. She told her sister it wasn't mine. She said it belonged to her ex-boyfriend. I can't even describe the feeling I had in that moment. My stomach dropped. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was reading some stranger's life, not mine. All that time I thought we were building a future together. She was sneaking around with her ex, getting pregnant and making life-changing decisions behind my back. I didn't tell her I knew. I just sat with it. I went about my days normally, all the while planning my exit. I didn't want to tip her off. She thought I was thinking about her ultimatum when really I was planning her exit from my life. A couple weeks later, she got served at the apartment. The look on her face was priceless: shock, confusion, and then instant defensiveness. She started gaslighting me on the spot, swearing she didn't do anything wrong. She said the whole break thing was just about needing mental space and that I was overreacting. That's when I pulled out the screenshots. I showed her what I found: the dating app, the text now number, well, the conversation with her sister, everything. And do you want to know what her response was? She said I created fake documents. She swore up and down that I made it all up to get rid of her. She said she never cheated, that she never got pregnant by someone else, that I was inventing this narrative. I couldn't believe it. The gaslighting was on another level. Here she was, caught red-handed, and instead of owning up to it, she tried to flip it on me like I was some manipulative psychopath making up evidence. She begged me not to leave the apartment. She cried, saying she couldn't afford New York rent on her own. She pleaded, "Please don't go, Tyler. We can work this out. I'll do better." But I was done. I packed up my things and moved in with a colleague who had a 2-bedroom. We split the rent, and it was actually a relief compared to what I was paying with her. During the divorce hearings, things got messy. She ended up getting kicked out of the apartment altogether, which wasn't my doing. It was the landlord once things came to light about her not keeping up with payments. But of course, she tried to spin that too, saying I abandoned her and left her high and dry. She even tried to demand that I pay half the rent until the lease was up, even though she was the one living there. I ended up having to cover a couple of months because the court ordered it, but after that, I was free. The thing that still blows my mind is how entitled she acted through all of it. She really believed she could cheat, lie, and manipulate, and still have me footing the bill for her lifestyle. Like I owed her something for the years we were together. Looking back, I see all the red flags I ignored. The way she'd keep her phone glued to her hand. The late nights out with vague excuses. The way she'd get defensive if I asked a simple question. At the time, I brushed it off because I didn't want to seem insecure. But now I realize I should have trusted my instincts. Today, I'm in a much better place. My colleague and I are still roommates, which has actually worked out well because we've become good friends. I've been able to focus on my career without the constant stress of wondering what's going on behind my back. I've been hitting the gym, rebuilding my confidence, and just enjoying life again. As for her, last I heard, she moved back in with her parents for a while. She tried texting me a couple months ago saying she missed me, but I didn't reply. There's nothing left to say. If there's one thing I learned from all this, it's that ultimatums are usually a sign that the relationship is already dead. If someone has to threaten you with leaving just to get what they want, they've already checked out emotionally. And if you ever have that gut feeling, don't ignore it. It's usually right. Anyway, that's my story. Thanks for giving guys like me a space to share. I hope maybe someone out there hears this and realizes they don't have to tolerate disrespect, gaslighting, or ultimatums. Sometimes the best decision you can make is to walk away quietly and let the truth come to light on its own. Follow up. Life after my ex-wife's ultimatum. Hey, True Story, Tyler, here again. A while back, I sent you my story about how my ex-wife gave me an ultimatum. Either let her take a break from our marriage or accept that she wouldn't be a happy wife. I told you how I didn't argue, didn't fight, just quietly went to a divorce lawyer, snooped in her phone after a gut feeling, and uncovered way more than I bargained for. Dating apps, a burner number, and worst of all, messages with her sister about a pregnancy that wasn't mine. I walked away, had her served, and let the chips fall. That was the story of the end of my marriage. This email is about what happened after, because let me tell you, the day the papers were signed wasn't the end of the chaos, not by a long shot. If anything, it was the beginning of a whole new chapter, the immediate aftermath. The first couple of weeks after she was served were like living in some twisted movie. She went from denial to anger to begging, and then back to denial again. She'd show up at the apartment crying, saying she couldn't survive New York rent without me. She'd text me things like, "You're making a huge mistake. I never cheated, you're just insecure. This is just a phase, we can fix this." Then the very next day, I'd get rage texts like, "You ruined my life. You're going to regret this. Don't think you'll ever find anyone better." It was like emotional whiplash. One day she was the victim, the next day she was the villain. Honestly, watching her cycle through those moods just reinforced my decision. I realized she didn't want me. She just wanted the security I provided. Moving out. When I left, I moved in with my colleague, James. He had a 2-bedroom and was cool with splitting rent. It wasn't glamorous, 2 grown men living like college roommates again, but it was peaceful. And for the first time in a long time, I could sleep at night without that pit in my stomach. Meanwhile, she stayed in the old apartment until she got booted. She begged me to keep paying half, but I wasn't about to bankroll her lifestyle. I did have to cover a couple of months because of the lease obligation, but once that was done, I washed my hands of it. That was when she started spiraling. Harassment and games. About 2 months post-separation, she started harassing me. At first it was subtle, late-night texts, emails with subject lines like "please read" or "you'll regret this." Then it escalated. One night she showed up outside the building I was living in. James spotted her first through the window. She was standing there in the rain, looking pitiful, like some cliche rom-com character waiting for her man to come down and sweep her off her feet. Only this wasn't a rom-com. It was my ex-wife, the same woman who had gotten pregnant by her ex and lied about it. I didn't go outside. I wasn't falling for that. She eventually left, but not before sending me this dramatic text. "You really don't care if I die out here, do you?" That was when I realized she wasn't just manipulative. She was dangerous. Because what she was doing was essentially emotional blackmail, the court drama. During the divorce hearings, she tried pulling every trick in the book. She told the judge I abandoned her. She said I was controlling, that I fabricated evidence, that I was making up lies about her being unfaithful. Luckily, I had solid documentation, screenshots, dates, proof. The judge wasn't buying her story. She came across as erratic, constantly contradicting herself. Meanwhile, I kept my answers short and factual. In the end, she walked away with nothing but debt and a bruised ego. I'll admit, it felt good to finally see someone else, especially the court, see through her nonsense. The texts I'll never forget. There were a few texts that stick in my head to this day. One was, "Tyler, I only wanted a break so I wouldn't hurt you. I thought if I scratched my itch and came back, we could be happy again." Read that again. She literally admitted she wanted permission to cheat guilt-free and then resume our marriage like nothing happened. That's how twisted her logic was. Another one. "I had to terminate because I knew you'd leave me if you found out." That one made me sick, not just because of what she did, but because she said it like it was a minor detail, like she wasn't talking about a human life. Rebuilding myself. After the dust settled, I made a conscious decision not to date right away. I needed to get my head right. For the first time in years, I started focusing on me. I hit the gym hard, 5 days a week. I dropped weight, put on muscle, and felt more confident than I had since my 20s. Career-wise, things took off too. Without the constant drama weighing me down, I was sharper at work. I got a promotion within 6 months of moving out. Funny how cutting out the wrong person can improve every other area of your life. The random encounter. About 8 months after the divorce, I ran into her in the city. Total accident. I was grabbing coffee before work, and she walked in with a friend. I almost didn't recognize her at first. She looked rough, like life had taken a toll. She saw me, froze, and then tried to play it cool. She walked over, gave me this fake smile, and said, "Tyler, wow, you look good." And I just nodded and said, "Thanks. Hope you're doing all right." Then I walked out. It was the most anticlimactic thing ever, but also the most satisfying. No fight, no drama, just me walking away. Again. Reflections on the red flags. Looking back now, I see so many things I ignored. The way she was always glued to her phone. How she'd get defensive whenever I asked where she was going. The girls' trips. That didn't add up. Her sudden mood swings. At the time, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. But hindsight is 20/20. I should have trusted my gut. Where I am now. It's been over a year since the divorce finalized. I'm in a good place now. James and I are still roommates, though I'm looking at getting my own spot soon. I'm financially stable, physically healthier, and mentally at peace. Do I trust women again? Honestly, I'm cautious. I know not everyone is like my ex, but I also know I can't afford to ignore red flags. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious yet. I'm not in a rush. Most importantly, I learned that my peace is priceless. If someone threatens it, whether through ultimatums, lies, or manipulation, they don't belong in my life. Final thoughts. To any guy reading this, if your partner ever gives you an ultimatum like, "Let me do this or I won't be happy," pay attention. That's not love. That's not partnership. That's them already planning their exit. And if you have that gut feeling, don't ignore it. Mine saved me from wasting another 5, 10, 20 years with the wrong person. Walking away was the hardest decision of my life, but it was also the best one. Thanks for giving me the chance to share part 2 of my story. Writing this out has been like therapy, and if it helps even one guy realize he's not crazy for wanting respect, then it's worth it.